It's because my mommy is the best. Super mom, love you, much. She helps mommy get those smiles back, the giggles back, and the sparkle back. You wait for the straw brush. Get ready for it's super discovery and super strong.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Healing for the Soul podcast. It is your go-to resource for parents and want-to-be parents who strive for success without sacrificing connection and well-being. Each episode delivers actionable strategies and inspiring insights to help you build emotional intelligence and resilience for yourself and for your family. Strengthen relationships with yourself, your partner, and your children. Master parenting as an entrepreneur, even while raising young children. Discover life and parenting hacks that simplify your journey. Explore hypnosis and other healing modalities for a deeper transformation. This podcast isn't just about parenting and a fertility journey. It's about creating harmony, wealth, and alignment in every area of life. Let's get started. And I am your host, Supermom Robin Stoltman. And today's episode is sponsored by Gemma Price, the Intuitive CEO. Now, with Gemma being our guest, she's a rare mix of business credibility and intuitive depth. One of the world's first accredited master intuitive psychology coaches and a multi-award winning tech CEO. Right now, intuition is having a cultural movement. Right now, intuition is having a cultural moment from podcasts to Prime TV, and she's here to share why it matters. Her perspective is grounded, science-backed, and lived. She helps leaders, founders, and high achievers beat burnout, reconnect with their inner compass, and make decisions that are both strategic and soul-aligned. Get ready for the conversation that blends business smarts with intuitive wisdom. You're going to love this one. Thank you, Gemma, for being here with our audience.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm excited. So what does being the world's first accredited master intuitive psychology coach exactly mean?
Yes, a lot of words, right?
Yes, it is.
So a master intuitive psychology coach. I'm specially trained to work with the subconscious mind. So it's about helping people connect to their intuition, and the reason that it's sort of the master bit is in there is that there are so many coaches out there, right? You go on Instagram and there's just like millions, and it's sort of so many are out there saying the stuff, but are the clients seeing the results? And I firmly believe that there's so much power when we come back to ourselves and we connect with what's beneath the surface. So I'm really proud to be accredited to the highest level in the entire coaching industry. And sort of the standards for me really matter, because I just think there's a million people out there who will try and sell you an external solution, where I really believe that if you tap into intuition and back into your subconscious mind, that you have the answers you need.
And I definitely agree with you, because I know that from being a hypnotherapist myself. I'm like, I know the subconscious mind holds the answer to everything. And that's the amazing part. So I appreciate that part very much, because one of the things I wanted to ask for sure is you've built an award-winning business while raising a family. What's one moment where intuition completely changed the trajectory of your business or parenting?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's loads, right? But I think one of the biggest ones for me was, so before I started my tech company, which is the one that I've sort of scaled, and I have a big team and clients around the world. But before that, I was employed, and I went back to work when my eldest, so my daughter, was 6 months old. And I got back to my office, and I could not ignore the nagging, just the voice in me that was like, you need to leave and start your own business. You need to leave and start your own business. And it was so inconvenient because I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't have the money to do that. I don't have the expertise. And I've got a young family. I've got a mortgage to pay. But this intuitive nudge just would not leave me alone. It was there saying, you need to do this. And I was looking for greater balance. I think was the balance was missing in my life at that moment. And so I just decided, right, let's do it. I'm just going to go for it. And it has changed my entire trajectory of my life. It's changed how I see the world. It's led to me. I've had, my dream job. I get to go to incredible events and explore the world and get to have an amazing team. But I also do the school run, and I'm there for my kids, and my youngest is 2 years old, my eldest is 6 now, and I get to do everything I wanted to. And actually I see that had I not listened to my intuition at that pivotal moment, I would have been probably not far from where I was then, which frankly was burnt out and struggling.
Well, I can definitely relate to that part. Like when you're like listening to your intuition, it makes things so much easier. And it seems, I don't know, like for you, if you've noticed, like the intuition part, it's not where you're hitting that resistance so much. That's one of the things I wanted to ask. Like there's a lot of people that struggle with that resistance, but they may not know it. Like what for you, like you said, you had that nagging that would not stop. And that was that little bit of a resistance. Like for you, like what was that? Just like, was it the nagging, or was it more like the resistance of I really don't want to go back to work? Like I don't want to keep doing this, because you mentioned a couple other things.
Yeah, I was uncomfortable. I think there were things that in my work at the time that I was like, oh, it's just not mind. And I think intuition has a real way of bringing you into alignment if only you trust it, and bring yourself to a level where you're like, you know what? I don't know how it's going to work out. I had no idea how I was going to make it work. But one thing I did have once I'd made the decision was I'm just going to trust it. I'm going to do my best. And then where I was feeling resistance in going to work, I didn't feel right the way that what I was doing before I started the business. Like every day that niggle was there that things needed to change. And I think when you listen to your intuition and you start trusting it, then the resistance sort of disappears, and I'd say doors open for you, opportunities open for you, and I guess you're more ready to receive them because you're coming from a place of trust rather than a place of whatever, I'll ignore it, I'll just keep going, which is where I was.
Well, no, that helps, because like if you think about it, that's really profound, because a lot of people don't listen to their intuition, or worse, they don't think they have any.
Yeah.
And it's like you do have it, just like when people say they don't have an imagination. I'm like, yeah, you do. You're constantly imagining the stuff that you don't want. That's why you got the life you don't want. You're using your imagination incorrectly. And it's like, that's why you got to affect the subconscious mind, which both of us would know that part of it. So like when we're out and about, we're being parents, we're being the entrepreneurs, we're doing all the different things. Like what's something that you would like recommend like to our listeners that they're just like, I don't know, should I do this? Can I do this? Like what some of the things for you, like you said, you had a new family. Like, I don't know if I can do this business. Like you had shared that and you're like, I got a young family. Like, how am I going to make this work? So what would you say to like that person that's listening that's like, I don't know, can this even possible? Can I make it work?
I think learning to recognize fear, learning to recognize that if there's, it's a feeling in the body, right? Fear, it's very real. It's there to protect us, but it can also hold us in the familiar, even if we're unhappy, because that fear is often there just in change or in something unknown. And actually, all the best things often come from the unknown, right? I have no regrets at all. And I've followed my intuition for all the years since then, because I'm like, no, there's something in this. And so I think the biggest piece of advice would be slow down a little bit and just allow yourself to sit with yourself. I often just place my hand on my heart, close down my eyes, and I'm like, what am I scared of? And just learn to sit and not see discomfort as a bad thing. See it as an area that maybe I need to lean into that. Maybe that is something I need to look at and become aware of where fear is holding you back, because, nobody wants to get through their life and have regrets. Nobody wants to think, oh my God, I wish I'd done that. Like, if you just try and I think in trusting it, you're like, if it doesn't work out, I'll try something else. And I think that's something that does come with practice. When you start on this journey and you commit to listening to your intuition and following that, I'd say it does start to get a little bit easier as you go, because you recognize where fear is holding you back and you stop letting it.
I think that's the important part you just mentioned, was the recognizing. of like the fear, because that's what's holding you back. But is it that, or is it really the intuition? Because like I've noticed that myself. I'm like, okay, there's a couple things I'm like I should not have done in business because it was not the time or wrong choice or whatever have you, which all of us make that, just saying. But then it's like when you think and you look back, you're like, but what was I feeling at that moment? That's what I've noticed. I don't know if you notice, like there usually is like a feeling that, okay, I knew I should have done this, but I did it anyway. I don't know, like, is that the same thing like what you get too?
Yeah, I think the key, you say that the word is feeling, right? So this is
Yeah.
about anything with intuition. It's much more in the body. Everyone talks in business about gut feelings, right? You've got
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs. They're all massive names who have done very well in business, and all
Oh
of them
yeah.
talk about gut feelings. And I think feeling is very different to thinking. So when you're not in your intuition, right, is when you're spiraling. Oh God, what if? And you get on this treadmill of worry. That is fear, like almost on a loop. I think when you are listening to your intuition, you do need to slow down to listen to, I guess, the more felt wisdom or the felt side of things. So if I'm not sure about, I use it in business all the time. So let's say I have a business decision, and the stakes could be quite high. It could be a strategic decision or I don't know, anything big in business. Of course I have to use my brain to think about it, right? That's a tool as well. But I don't make my decisions from my head. I think, I analyze, and then ultimately I slow down and I'm like, how am I feeling? And it becomes a practice. I notice, am I tense when I think about this thing, this decision, and each of it? Am I feeling tension in my body? Is my heart rate up? Am I tension in my jaw? And you start to just become aware of these things. And then I find for me, that's, okay, well, that feels bad. What feels good? What would feel good? And then try and follow the things that feel good. And it becomes like a habit. I don't know how not to do that now.
Well, no, that's very helpful because yeah, it's like you can feel like the different things in the body. Because for example, a lot of people struggle with the weight of their world on their shoulders, so they've carried so much tension in their shoulders. And it's like, but what if you were to let that go? I'm like, your muscles are getting tight, like what you just said, for a reason. Like one of the things I've noticed is carpal tunnel. I've got it in my. Went away like we all have carpal tunnel, but like the problem with it, when my left hand had gone away, the right one is still there. But I'm like, I pay attention to it because I'm like, okay, if it's something I really don't want to be doing, the carpal tunnel acts up. And it's really fascinating because I'm like, okay, this is my body's way of saying, okay, I'm not supposed to be doing this because I feel it.
Yeah.
But the second that I drop it, I might drop the object sometimes, but if I drop what I'm not supposed to be doing, then it stops and it doesn't bother me at all. So it's kind of like what you had just said about like for where you feel it, like you get that gut feeling, or you get the feeling like in like the jaw and other areas. It's like, where are you holding it, paying attention to it, and then asking yourself these questions. And I like how you said about like the opposite. Okay, so this is how I feel, and I don't want to feel this way. Then how do I want to feel? And then notice if there's any tension in that area.
Yeah. So the coaching, all the coaching I do is eyes closed. It's so we get people into a deep state. And what's incredible, so me as the coach, I'm usually eyes open unless there's, a particular thing I want to connect on. And it's interesting because when people have regulated their nervous system, when we get them into that sort of really calm, meditative sort of state, and then with this coaching, I'm guiding them through various techniques. When the guards are down and they're not looking at my face for a reaction and they're just fully present, the body is telling me everything I need to see anyway. So, we'll start, let's say I'm taking a client through a journey. We might do inner child work. We might do parts work where we'll find the part that they're holding it. We often embody it. So where in the body do you feel that? I know before they tell me, because they're like, you'll see like one arm is like tightened, or suddenly their shoulders are up by their ears, or their jaw's clenched. And And they'll go, yeah, I'm feeling that on my jaw. Oh, and then what's great is that when we go on to what we call the alchemy techniques that are much more forward looking. So we've released the past, we've worked through, released the fears, the limiting beliefs, and then we're moving into the future looking. How do you want your life to be? It lights me up just thinking about it, because I'm so connected with the client in that moment, and their whole body language will change. I'm like, right, we place yourself in that future, and they will be there, and their whole body language shifts. They're relaxed, or they're confident, or everything changes in them. And then I get them to embody that state. And I'm like, every time you're setting goals, like, you need to remember this feeling and stop imprinting this old memory of your, tense jaw. And instead, how does your jaw feel in that future? Oh, I feel great. They're all loose with their jaw, and I just love it, because I think it shows how much wisdom the body has. And I think particularly in business and in life, we tend to think it's all up here, right? It's all in the brain, but actually we're missing the rest of it, which is, there's a lot of wisdom there.
Yeah, there definitely is. That's why I like the heart math. I don't know if you've used heart math or not, but it's so fascinating because I learned to like how to use heart math, the heart math tool, with hypnosis. So if your body and your mind, like the heart rhythm and the rate, heart coherence is basically what it's called. But getting that all in alignment, like with the breathing and with the heart rate, and then you can see if you can believe all of it. And it gives you real-time feedback if you don't believe something. That's kind of neat because I've done it a couple times, and I'm like, okay, I can tell like when I believe something, like for example, having $10,000 a month, like I can see it, I can feel it, I believe it, and it's like what you said. It's being able to embody that. Like, do you feel it in your the tension in your jaw anymore? Well, no, like there's different areas, but then it's like when you switch the thought, it's almost like you can tell like when the thought is shifting with the biofeedback at the same time, because it's like I just had a thought that wasn't conducive to my growth, and then it drops, and then I'm like, okay, that does not help. But it's like at the same time you can see what is causing you stress.
Yeah,
that's one thing that I've noticed.
And when you're tuned into that, you can, that our subconscious speaks to us actually more quickly than our conscious does, right? Because it's the thing that's always in the background, making decisions before we've consciously got there. So if you learn to flow with this and connect with it often, then you know what's in alignment and not, without even really thinking about it at all. And I just think, wow, like in business, you don't need to worry, is that a bad decision or a good decision? It doesn't mean you always make the right decisions, but it means that you're following like your path of alignment, your growth, your journey. And so many times I've made a decision that I wasn't sure would be the right one, but I just felt in my gut that I had to do it. And it doesn't mean it's always plain sailing. Like, sometimes, oh, why is this happening? I was following my gut. But then it leads to something else. And you're like, now I've learned this, and you look back on it and you're like, oh, now I see.
That's what I learned a lot with like the failures. That's why I'm like, when I make mistakes, because it's like we all make them, but it's like that's the joy of going back and like, oh, I had to make that mistake because now it taught me from that mistake. I learned so many more things of how to do it differently. I should have listened to myself. That's like my biggest thing. But then it's like you get more wisdom out of the mistakes. That's why like when people say about failure is bad, I'm like, no, failure is a blessing. It is. I've learned more from my failures than what I've ever learned in the times I have had success. It's so amazing. And so then I'm wondering too, because like many founders struggle with the burnout, like what you had said, like the job you'd had before your business that you started now. How has that intuition helped you create boundaries or make decisions that protect both your business and your family life?
Yeah, so I haven't always got this right until I discovered coaching and had coaching myself. So what's interesting, I think, as an entrepreneur is that like you can't complain about your boss, right?
No.
if something's not going well or you're struggling, you sort of got to own it, because I created this. So how am I going? You could complain about the world out there, but like this is my business. I have to deal with it. And so what had happened was, so I started the business and it had started to grow. I was very fortunate that my experience and had lent itself to a sector that really needed me. It needed my help. And so the business started to scale. And I hadn't really anticipated this. I decided to start the business. I just about got to grips with, here's what the business is, here's the services, here's the pricing, and started to build momentum. And then all of a sudden, post-pandemic, or like during the pandemic,
Oh, yes.
yeah, so there was obviously a bit of a challenge at the beginning, that's for everyone, but then because I'm in tech really saw a bit of a surge. And so very quickly I realized that I had a choice. I either stay as me, just me, but I'd have to turn work away, or I grow the team. And I've been a leader in many roles before, and I thought, no, I'd love to do that actually. Don't know have a clue what to do, hiring people, but let's do it. And so I then started hiring, and I actually hired, I think it was about 15 people in the space of 2.5 years. So it got big very quickly, and our services grew and our clients grew. And with that, the problems and opportunities grow. So where before cash flow was a bit of an issue, suddenly if you've got 100 overdue invoices, cash flow is a big problem when you've got a salary bill to pay. So it was I would say it was a challenging time of growth. Like, I learned so much, but it was not without struggle as well. And I lost touch with my intuition, in that I just felt I didn't have time for it. I was so in my head. Because what choice do I have? I'm suddenly responsible for all these team members. They've got families and mortgages and bills to pay. Can't let them down. And so I got a little bit stuck on that treadmill. And it was, I can blame nobody except for myself. But I got so caught up in it that I'd started to sacrifice what I needed. And I think I hear this a lot with founders. So what actually happened? So I've had my young family. I thought I was doing okay. And on the outside, we were winning awards, we were growing, everything was going great. But internally, my world had shifted from thriving to stress, and then was tipping over into repeated stress, into burnout. And I just noticed that the things that used to bring me joy in business suddenly just didn't have the same spark. I was exhausted, to be honest. And I was just so out of touch with what I wanted. So this was the business overall I loved, but there was something not right and I didn't know what to do. And then I discovered intuitive psychology coaching, and I was coached before I became a coach. And wow, it really helped me. I went inwards to find out what is going on, because I honestly couldn't tell you. It was like, but business is going well. Yeah, I'm busy, but we're all busy, right? And when I went inwards, I recognized some painful beliefs that I've been holding on to from as early as I can remember, to be honest, around working hard and what it means to, you have to work harder to be. I had this limiting belief in happiness, that in order to be happy, you had to work harder and work harder. And it sort of only gets you so far. So I think shining a light on that was really a moment for me, and unraveling that and letting go of that limiting belief by working with the subconscious mind is ultimately when things started to really improve in life and business.
I appreciate that so much for everything you just had said, because I'm like, that's exactly what I have been struggling with right now, like in real time. It's like things look good, things are scaling, like the podcast, for example, has been doing a lot better since I brought it back, and I wasn't planning on the success of that. So it's like I didn't plan for it, but it happened. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I've got other things, because I was so focused on one thing, but I took it off on the other parts that needed attention. So then it's like, at the same time, it's like, okay, now what do I do? Because it's like what you said, you've got payroll, you've got, people you're responsible for. And then it's like, when things don't work, that doesn't help. But and then it's like, okay, certain things just bring me happiness anymore. So it's like, that was that part of burnout for you, or was that more for you? Was it more like a warning sign, like, okay, something needs to shift because this doesn't feel right anymore? How did you handle that in that moment?
Yeah, I noticed. So I've got to be honest, I couldn't get there on my own. Like, I'd done meditation, I'd tried the things, and I think I had to go deeper, because some of these behaviors had become so ingrained in me that when things are tough, I keep going. I'd always been the strong one, always. I still am, but it was at detriment to myself and balance and everything else. And so when you have these deep-rooted identities or beliefs, they can, whilst they serve you, or certainly serve you at points in your life, there reaches a point where, especially when you get to burnout, where you've not been looking after yourself, you've not been regulating, to the point where, to be honest, I didn't know how to anymore. I'd slipped so far out of it that it was like, but I'm so far in. I actually remember, so my husband's a lot more chilled than I am. One of us has to be. And I remember he was like, just chill out, just work less. It's your business. And I remember being so angry at him, like, do you not understand? Oh, great, I'll just work less. Like, you have no idea how much I'm trying here. And I remember this, have like anger at him for just not getting it. I've agreed to this and I'm responsible, and none of them things are incorrect, right? I had agreed to it. I was responsible. I'd lost touch with how to balance my own inner world. So it was then those beliefs that I had no choice had become like a prison for my mind. I had told myself I had no choice when actually I did have a choice on how my inner world was. I was choosing not to, that nothing, there's no way that I'd have been like, oh, I don't actually have 5 minutes in the day to breathe. But I would have convinced my husband that there is no way I have 5 minutes, right? And I think I'd got myself so trapped in it. I could not get off this treadmill. And so when I started going inwards, when I started really just checking in with what was going on beneath the surface, it was like some of these things came to light. And in doing it, I had to really slow myself down. I had to sit and take some time. And I think a big part of it was admitting to myself that two things can be true at once. I can be the strong person that I've always been proud of, but I can also admit that this is quite tough at the minute and I'm not thriving. And I think for so long, I'd then been avoiding saying things like, I need more balance, because in doing that, it's like I couldn't cope. And yet I was a strong one. So what does it mean if I don't know how to cope? And so I just started to sit with these parts of myself that were holding on to this busyness that was burning me out. I started to sit with them and be like, what do I need to do? And there were a few things. So some of it was really practical, right? I need better boundaries. And it was actually boundaries around me time that were always the things that would slip, because I felt guilty. Well, I should be with my kids, or I should be doing more for work. And yeah, I think so many parents find themselves there. But the problem is that it started to come to light that in not maintaining them boundaries, whilst I was feeling it'd be selfish to, actually it was selfish not to, because I was then not thriving as a parent. I was getting quite short with the kids. I was finding it hard. And I was also struggling to, I take my responsibility to my team in my businesses very seriously. Like, I don't want to ever let them down, like in terms of paying their salaries. Like, they give a lot to me. But it suddenly dawned on me that if I wasn't looking after myself, that was a much bigger risk to the business than anything. And so I think I just had to start sitting with these uncomfortable truths. I can be strong, but I can also be struggling. And I can be responsible, but also it's safe to take a break. And I don't know, I'd say that didn't come easily. I had to really start to sit with those contradictions that before I was like, no chance.
Well, yeah, that's because it's almost like talking to a reflection of myself. listening to you, because I'm like, it's like when you said about the coaching, that does make a difference.
Yeah.
Because it's like the asking of the questions. Sometimes we don't always have the right question to ask ourselves. And it's like when you ask yourself a question, well, sure, you can get an answer, but it's like when you go deeper, you change the question, how it even starts, then it's like you get a better answer or a different answer. That's one thing I've noticed with the brain. I'm like, it's how you ask that the brain will give you a different answer, which is just like, why can't you just give me the straight answer?
And the state of mind and state of nervous system as well. Like when you ask them questions, if you're up here and you're frazzled and you're frantic, then you're probably going to not get the right answer. Really? Okay, I need to slow down and ask these questions in a way, or this is what the coaching brought out for me, was being asked the question in a way that I really had to think but feel more.
Well, yeah, and that helps out a lot too, because it's like I said, that's why I kept smiling, thinking, I'm like, yeah, that's me at times. That's how I've been at times. It's like you can tell. That's why I'm like, when you're a business owner, it's like our brains think differently than the employee brain. I've tried to explain it to people, and it's like, well, anybody can be an entrepreneur. I'm like, no, not everybody has the ability to do it. It requires a special type of insanity at the same time. Because it's like myself, it's like, okay, I've got all these kids. I've only had my business while having all the kids. And I'm like, this requires a whole other level of insanity at the same time, also trying to do everything else. And then it's like, okay, trying to find that happy balance. But then, like you said, it's like that just puts more stress because everybody else is like, well, they're employees. They go home, they're 9 to 5, they go home, they waste their life. And it's like they're okay being wasting life. And me, I'm like, sounds like you too. You're like, I'm not okay with that. Like, I have to be doing something to make a bigger impact in this world. And that's like where business is. They're like the highest calling like on your life is having a business, because you're right. You're providing for somebody else's family. And I wish that employees would understand that. It's like you have a job because somebody else took the risk, and Lord knows it's a lot of risk. I'm not talking financial risk. I'm not talking all the other stuff. I'm talking it's a risk on our bodies. Like what our body goes through, like everything you just had said, like everything looks good on the outside, but on the inside, it's almost like you're struggling, like you're barely surviving, but everybody else is like, oh, you're happy. Everything is going good. You ever notice on social media when you take and you're posting, oh, my life is going good, like nobody cares.
Yeah.
But the second you're like, oh, my life is horrible, then they're like, oh, quick. And they bring you up. Or like a couple times I've posted like, I just want to quit. I just want to give up. And then I get a and I'm like,
yeah,
why can't you help me the rest of the time? Like, how hard
before
is
I
it
get
to send
that.
it? Yeah, it's like, why can't it doesn't take that long to just say, hey, I'm happier doing your business.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like when people are going for the weight loss. Nobody cares. Oh, they say, oh, I get it. You're fat. You're blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? 60 pounds, having 11 kids total, 10 pregnancies total, because I had identical twins to start. And it's like the ones that are here that are living, 8 of them, I'm like, I'm doing pretty damn good in 12 years. I'm just realized yesterday I'm going on 13. I'm headed in my 13th year already. Didn't even have a clue till I looked at the time and I was like, oh. So then I'm like, yeah, I'm doing pretty damn good. Like 60 pounds, a lot of people put on, and like, don't take them, don't tend to put it on. But I'm like, it's those little things that it's like, why can't we help each other? That's one of the things I was going to ask too. Like, have you noticed that in business, like a lot of these founders, not just me or not just yourself, but have you noticed that a lot of us in general struggle with that outside, like nobody cares until you hit like that, like I said, like I just want to quit. Like, do you have that where you've noticed that with other people too?
I would say I've always come out very, very so I have this vision to change the world, which makes me sound like I'm so but it really drives me and gets me out of bed in the morning. And I do think you're right. Entrepreneurs and founders are built differently. You have to get out of bed when you don't want to, when you can't, when there is a million reasons. You still have to get out of bed and do it.
Yeah.
You don't have a sick day. You don't have this. And I do think I think anyone that does it is incredible. I've got to say, I think mums who do it especially. I mean, wow, to have a young family the size that you have.
Yeah.
It is so hard. Like, and I think it's incredible. I think women are incredible.
They are.
And one thing, my thing that drives me, I want to prove to the world that you can be a heart-led, vulnerable female leader doing good in the world, and you can still be damn good in business, and you can still make a profit. And it drives me. We've been named one of the world's happiest workplaces for 2 years in a row. We've won dozens of regional, national, and international awards for being one of the world's happiest workplaces. That is not a coincidence. That's because when I turn up to work, what sort of company do I want to work in? And so if I have a bad day, I'm the CEO still of my tech company, and I will turn up to a whole team meeting that I'm chairing, and I am absolutely okay with sitting there and saying, I don't have the answers. I've not slept much. My kids have been an absolute nightmare. I'm struggling today, guys. And because they see me in my authenticity, because they see me as the full me, and because I'm okay with modeling vulnerability. I'm not talking like bawling my eyes out every week, but if I need to, I will.
Some days.
Yeah.
Some days for me, I'm just saying.
And you know what, because of that, they pull together. They will go above and beyond. And so my employees are, I couldn't do it without them now, I think. They really help me in a way that I didn't know was possible from a team. And it actually led me to founding. There's my tech company HubGem. But in doing this, what happened was people were like, so I would often share on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I talk a lot about building happy workplaces, about being a heart-led leader, about being an intuitive CEO and what that means. Because there's so much left brain stuff in business. It drives me mad. It's all like, go faster, make more money, and it's all very masculine energy. And I'm fine, there's a space for that, but it's been at the expense of everything else, and it makes it harder for families and for parents as in particular. And so I've just started a company the last year with a co-founder, and we've called it the Happy Workplace, and we're taking everything that we have done, tried and tested time and time again that works in HubGem, and now we are sharing that with the world, because I firmly believe that when workplaces embrace the whole human being, embrace the messy, embrace the fact that, oh God, what's that, you have bad days as well? like until the workplaces do that, I don't know what we're doing, but we're making ourselves miserable. So I think it's amazing to have conversations where we can show up fully as ourselves and be like, yeah, it's really tough, because, oh my God, business is so tough. Even when it's good, it's tough.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely agree. And like what you said, like about like the businesses, about how that's one of the things that drives me kind of crazy. Like when I've talked to other businesses, it's like they want to have people just show up, do the work. They don't care about their employees. You can tell that they don't care about their employees because they're like, I don't care what's going on in my employee's life. Or they follow the whole HR thing of, well, you can't ask a person that. You can't ask a person this. You can't ask. Well, then that's why you got the result you're getting. That's why you got a revolving door. Some of the attendance policies, I get their attendance policy, but at the same time, that's why you got a revolving door again.
Yeah.
It's like you're not showing respect to people. Like, show that you're human. And that's like a lot of the places I'm like, when I've gone into different businesses, I'm like, I wouldn't work here. I wouldn't want to. I don't want to just set with just this company or that company, because how they run things, I'm like, no, you got a heart problem. You need to use your heart, not your head.
Oh, all the time. You see it all the time in business. And also, as a working parent, so on the leadership team at my tech company, so there's 5 of us on the team, 4 of whom are women, and of them, myself and one of my most senior team members, one of our directors, is a new mum, and my kids are still very young.
Exciting.
And when if they need to take a break because there's a childcare issue, I trust you. I trust that you do what you need to do because you have a family, and that matters so much. Because I don't want a business where I can't take a day if my kids need me. And in return, what happens is, she and other members of the team, they're like this, really appreciate the fact that, oh, thank you so much for understanding. And I'm like, well, obviously, like, it's a human. I'm not going to be like, nah, forget your kids, you work for me. Like, obviously, you're a parent. What's more important than? And then in return, the team members work hard. They're committed to the company. They love what they do. They then show up, and we have 100% 5-star reviews from our customers. That's not
awesome.
Me servicing them. That's the team, because the team are happy. For me, it's a no-brainer, but it is quite unusual in business, I think.
Oh, it definitely is. And then also working less and then having better results.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the things I'm like, I've been asking myself. I'm like, I had better results when I worked less, did less, but I got better results. I'm like, how in the...
Yeah, people. So my company, the team are fully remote. And we always have been, even before it was cool, like since I started. And people say to me, well, how do you know they're working all the time? I'm like, I don't care if they're working all the time. Why would I care? I'm like, if you want to go walk your dog in the afternoon, go walk your dog. If your job's getting done and your results are good, obviously you turn up for meetings if they're in the diary. Like, there's the basics that you do what you said you're going to do. But if you want to go take a break and walk your dog, go and do that. Manage your diary. You're a grown adult. Like, I can trust you. If I can't trust, there's a problem. And we have measures, we have things that do need to be met. And if any of them drop, then we have a supportive but frank conversation. Look, the expectations aren't being met. How can I help you as a leader to meet them expectations? But it blows my mind when people are like, how do you know they're not just messing about all day? I'm like, I don't need to know that. As long as they're getting the job done, what do I care? Like,
Well, yeah, that's one of the things. It's like, if somebody's doing the work or not. Like, you can
yeah.
tell because their work will show it.
The best thing
You
is
know?
now we have such a culture that someone will come and tell me. They'll be like, oh my God, Gemma, I messed up so bad. And I'm so sorry. And I've now worked for like weeks into the evening to fix it. And I'm so sorry. And I'm like, great, you've been on this journey. Don't do it again. Like, and they don't come to me to fix it, because they will come to me and be like so open. They're not trying to cover their backs because there's no fear. Everyone knows that we're going to just be fair, which I think, yeah, more of that, please.
Well, yes, most definitely. I would agree with you because I'm like, I think that's the biggest problems, like with corporate America or just all the American jobs to begin with, is that they're all logic and paperwork, and it's like you're killing people because of that. Nobody wants to work for that anymore. And I think hopefully, I'm hoping in the future that more people will see that. Let people do what they want, trust them, because if you can't trust them, why are they working for you in the first place?
Yeah.
But not only that, it's they're humans. You let them have their families. I think that's going to be the biggest help for like fixing any fertility issues, is let people have their families. It's not time to just go have babies and like worry about bills, but it's like you have more money by doing less. That's the concept that I've like still trying to wrap my head around, because it's like it is true. Like I've heard it before. It's like earn more working less, but it doesn't make any logical sense because we're programmed. You got to work hard. You got to do, 40 hours a week and then some, and you got to do all these things. But it's like you're not getting anywhere. It's almost like you got your foot on the brake and the gas pedal at the same time.
After my youngest, who's now 2,
Yeah.
after he was born, I decided to, in order to continue to find balance, that I would drop to 3 days a week running that company. I do have my coaching business and my happy workplace to focus on as well. But I'd for so long told myself that you can't be a 3-day-a-week CEO. I mean, I don't know. Yes, I can. Like, I don't know why I was telling myself that. And then, you know what? I've now been doing this for 2 years, 3 days a week as CEO. There is, of course, the caveat, as with any business owner, that if something majorly, then obviously I would need to be there. But in reality, the team deal with the stuff. And actually, in that time, we've just had our most profitable year ever. Never done better. And I'm like, wow, it is possible. Whereas before I'd had the coaching, before I'd released stuff, I would have been like, no, I've got to work hard. I've got to work harder. You don't. You need to work smarter. You need to be aligned and authentic and trust your intuition. You do need to be smart in the process, but I do think a lot of that comes with following your gut and having good relationships with others.
I would definitely agree with you on that one. So I also wanted to ask, like, what's the biggest misconception about being a female founder and a parent, and how has your experience challenged that narrative?
Oh, it fires me up every day, this one, because I felt this when I actually was employed before starting my businesses. I felt that I was taken less seriously because I was now a mum, and I think I'd probably internalized a lot of like society's things around, if you're a parent, you're not as committed to your work, or you're not the high achiever, or it's your career or your kids, or I'd internalized a lot of that. And I also had seen a lot of that and experienced it. That was the narrative. Even, I work with the education sector, and I would say even in the education sector, who are all about kids, I'd still experience that. So I think for me, I think anyone that ever suggests that because you are a parent, you are somehow less in business, less anything, to be honest, less committed, less reliable, less whatever, less dedicated to your work. For me, it was less strong. I was you can't be this strong business leader and also be a caring parent. And if you did, then you clearly not meeting your kids' needs was the other side of it, which was incorrect too. So I think women who have businesses, who are high achievers, whether it's their business or not, doesn't really matter, but who are parents, like, wow, what incredible people, right? That they can have multiple things they are passionate about. Nothing, you know, if you were to look at like someone's job application for a role, and they're like, yeah, I'm a good communicator, I'm really dedicated to my work, I like a challenge, right? Nothing shows better resilience, problem solving, communication than parenting experience. I don't think I've ever had such a hard job as parenting. So I do think that it really gives a whole new load of skills to people. If businesses can support parents while they're learning these skills and raising tiny humans, then they will come back into the workplace appreciating the work that does appreciate them, and bring this, you are negotiating daily like with children. So I don't know, I think for me, implying that parenting makes you less than anything, in my experience, parenting makes you more in every way.
I agree. I've gotten that way too much. Like one of the things, like for me, I was like, well, if you got 3 or less kids, it's like it's easy to parent. Like on my end, that's just how I view it, because I'm like, that's easy. You come to my side of the world where I've got one with autism, one with ADHD, and then the other 6 are supposedly normal. Whatever normal is, that's why I say that.
Yeah.
But it's like I've got so much going on, but then it's like here I am, I'm like, I can't go into a corporation and tell them how to do, like anything with people. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, yes, I can. Have you seen the way I lead my team? The way I've got us all like working in order, like my kids, they're doing the dishes. I've got to the point, I'm like, okay, if you don't help with dishes, you're not eating.
Yeah.
It's not a threat. It's a common sense logic that even me as an adult, I don't clean dishes. Guess what? I don't get to eat. It's just like reality. Like that's a natural consequence. So it's like I'm teaching them real life natural consequences. And I think that's what a lot of people forget. And that's why when people talk about like their parenting struggles, I'm like, well, that's a huge part of it. I'm not teaching them natural consequence.
Yeah.
I want something clean. I got to do it. You want me to listen to you? You got to help me. It's a lot of reciprocity, at the same time. So I like how you said about like for us parents, like we're resilient, like especially us women, we are the most resilient. Like sometimes I wish I was a man, just because it's like they're one track at a time, and
consistent as well. Like don't have cycles to deal with. Like look, there's at least 1 week a month where I can't stand anyone, anything, and I've got to try and navigate business and not burn it apart in that week, like every month.
I decided to fix that week. Like the whole week, that's what I decided to do for 2026. So I'm like, I'm going to pay attention to my energy, tracked it enough. I'm like, you know what? I know what weeks that I am not going to be doing business because my energy is low.
It's not right.
And I'm like, why am I working on when my energy is low? So I came up with a list of things I can do when the energy is low to combat it. I'm not going to be doing any business or decision making at that time. But it's like, why? Why do that to ourselves? Because like you said, like us women, I think all of us women got that. Like men, they're very good at being consistent on their whole, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, I'm like,
I'm a different human being for at least 1 week a month. Like I can't be the same person all month. And one of the things we did, so because we have a lot of incredible women and men in our team, but we recognize this theme. So we have a Slack. So Slack is like our office, and we're on Slack, and we had a channel for women's health, and we chat on there quite openly. All of us do, about the struggles. And I'm like, we'll all be like, oh my god, I'm at this like recent luteal phase, can you believe it? Or we all share advice, and that's been really freeing. It's normalized it a little bit. And we've introduced gentle days for anyone on the team that is having a day that they're at work, they're not off sick, but they're not firing on all cylinders, right? They're struggling a little bit. They are maybe a bit under the weather, or often we're seeing with the women in the team that it will be obviously linked to cycles. And we're just saying, and we did this because from a leadership perspective, I want everyone to know it's normal to have days when you're not your best. How can we as a company support them to still work? Because I don't want them taking sick days, ideally, if they can help it, and they don't want that either. And so we have gentle days. And if you need a gentle day, you let your line manager know, I'm having a gentle day, you update your Slack status, and you can reallocate some of your work within the team. And what we find is the team pull together and they're like, oh my God, let me help you. And so we share it out amongst the team, and we say, right, what can you do on gentle days? And it might be that you need to do more back office admin and not be on back-to-back calls all day. And you know what we've seen already? It's fairly new initiative. We've had it like 6 months. Already, sickness absence rates are down, performance is up. Nothing catastrophic has happened. Like, profits are up, service is up, customer satisfaction is up. Why? Because the team are thriving and they don't feel like, oh, maybe I should be off sick, or they're not trying to push through and do something they shouldn't be doing on that day. And I take them if I need a gentle day. Even as the CEO, I'm like, yeah, I'm putting my little yellow love heart on our status. And I'm like, guys, I'm having a gentle day today. Yeah, easy.
I like that. So then that tells me that my 2026 goal for making sure that I took I blocked it all the weeks off on my calendar already, like even into 2027, because like I know myself well enough. I'm like, is this gonna work? But now after hearing what you just said, I'm like, okay, I know for a fact it will work.
Yeah.
And that helps out tremendously. And then I was gonna say a lot of the whole conversation, you've talked about like how the intuition is really your anchor, like it's bringing you home. For someone who feels like they're torn between scaling their business and being present as a parent, what's the first step to reconnecting with that inner compass?
So the best way is to you've got to slow down and make a bit of space. And I know everyone's like, oh yeah, easy. Like, I've got business, I've got kids. Like, I know it's hard. It's hard for me too. And also our brains are great at convincing us that we should do anything except for slow down. You can't do that. You've got to keep going. What I would say is get into some habits of 5 minutes a day. Like, basically anyone can do 5 minutes a day. And just to make the space to close down your eyes, take some deep breaths, put your hand on your heart and be like, what do I need right now? Because when you do that, you don't view it with judgment. You're not like, God, how dare you need a gentle day? You sit with it and you go, what I need is this. Like, if you start to listen to that, you know the answers, because it will vary, right? Not everybody needs the same in parenting and in business. It will be down to individual circumstances. So anyone can do this. Everyone has intuition. I'm not talking about something woo here, although I am completely okay with the woo as well. But this is, neuroscience backed. It's all about the nervous system. And so I would say, drop yourself into your body, sit with what your body needs to tell you, allow it, don't judge it. And that is the starting point. And then from there, it becomes easier to feel these nudges, to work out what you need. And if you find that really hard, then work with a coach. Come work with me or whoever out there is the best fit for you, because it's such a worthwhile investment. Like, you can have it all if that's what you want, truly. I would say as well, be tuned into what's motivating you, because if you're building a business because you feel you should, not because you want to, or if you're doing something because you feel you have no choice, or it's coming from fear, then it's not the best place to build from. So check that it is what you want. Do I want to be running a business and have a family? And if the answer is yes, then you can do it all. But you just need to, reconnect to yourself to make sure that you are in alignment and calm.
No, I love all those tips that you were giving. So it's like, I was even thinking, like, my son showed up now that's been sick, and it's like, okay, it's like that's where I've noticed, like, even making shifts in my business to keep up with the family has made a difference. And so that's why I appreciate, like, when you were saying, like, is this something you really want to do right now? Or, like, listening to that intuition part. So I wanted to ask, before we do close out, looking back, what's one honest lesson you wish you had known earlier about growing a business and raising kids at the same time?
Wow. I mean, it's probably a good job I didn't know how hard it'd be, because I don't know if I'd have done it, although I have no regrets at all. I think just being okay with whatever, right? Being okay with whatever life looks like that day and not judging it too much. So I was so caught up on, I need to be at my desk for 7:30. Years of programming from working in offices and things meant that I need to be at my desk. And if I'm not, like, no, like, I think the biggest thing I wish I'd known from the beginning, because I caused myself a lot of stress, was just to go with the flow a little bit more, to trust that it's going to be okay. And if it's not okay, it'll still be okay, right? One of my favorite things I say now in business is, no one's going to die. Like, I mean, look, there are some businesses where they might, and that's maybe not for me. But for me, I just think, keep some perspective. Your kids will only be young for so long, and don't sacrifice who you are and what you want to achieve. You don't have to. But also, if you need to take your foot off the gas because your kids need you, like, to just be okay with that, and not, because otherwise you're fighting. These two sides of your life can be fighting for attention. And I think just go with the flow. Sometimes I'm naturally more in business and actually the kids are ticking along and it's all good. But other times the kids need me more and I don't resent them for it. They're my kids. I love them. And so I need to be able to say, okay, today is not a big business day, but it's okay. I'm here with the kids. And that is as important. And being able to balance the two like that, I think.
I love that very, very much. I'm thinking so much like from all these different tips that you gave. Like I said, it's almost like a reflection of me. It seemed at the same time, I'm like, you're ahead of me, which is a great thing. I think that's where a lot of people, like when you're looking for a coach, like when you say that that's the biggest thing is that you want to find somebody that's where you used to be, but a little bit ahead of you? Or what have you noticed, like when you were searching, like in your coach, like where you were at?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really important to mention as well, like, I'm really happy with where my life is. It is, I still have tough days. Some days I have it all together, and other days I'm rocking on the floor because the kids are just screaming and I can't take anymore. And yeah, I still will because I have to, and I'm their parent, I'm their mom, and so I think when you find a coach, looking for someone who can really understand you, who can listen and not judge you, who's not doing it because, as I say, there's a lot of these Instagram coaches who are like, I'm going to get rich quick and I'm going to do this and I'm going to promise you all the answers and I'm going to change your life in 5 minutes. Like go with someone who you feel is authentic and who you can connect with fully. And yeah, I think if they're promising to fix your life for you, like, I probably wouldn't always believe that. I think, like, look for someone authentic. And yeah, I'm proud of where I've got to, considering where I was. I've still got space I want to go and I still have bad days, but it's a journey. I think you just have to go with it.
I love it. So, where's the best way for our audience to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I guess it depends what they're looking for. But I sort of, we say my name is now the Intuitive CEO. It was sort of the whole of me, encompassing all my different businesses. So my website is really simply intuitive.ceo. And from there, you can learn more about the happy workplace and the work we do with companies to help create happier workplaces. You can find out more about Purpose Panda Coaching, which is my business, where I do my intuitive psychology coaching. I work with a lot of female high achievers, female entrepreneurs, parents. And so, yeah, I would love if anyone wants to reach out, even just to learn more about coaching with me and what it looks like. And hey, if you need some help with tech and AI, then you'll find those details on Intuitive CEO website as well.
I was going to say tech is not my thing. I appreciate people that can do it so much. But yeah, so I'm going to definitely follow you on the channels. I'm hoping all of our audience will as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Lovely. I've really enjoyed our chat. And honestly, absolute superwoman. Just look at you casually there with your kids, just smashing it in life and parenting and in business. I mean, what a role model.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
As always, I just want to thank you for your time and energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Healing for the Soul podcast wherever you get your downloads, you're listening to your podcasts, and keep coming back for more episodes. Thank you, everyone, for your time and your energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast, which also can be found on YouTube.